From the 3-year anniversary of the Mother Emanuel tragedy to what's going on here in Charleston this weekend, I sat down one-on-one with Christian Senger, aka Holy City Senger, for a special edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores, or listen to this interview later on the free iHeartRadio app. Christian Senger, it's so good to see you.
Great to see you, Quintin.
Yes, it's been a long time.
It has, yeah.
We just communicate a lot on social media.
That's true, yeah. We do keep in touch, but we haven't had a formal interview in a while.
That's right. I keep sending you all the lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's time for yours again.
Hey, I'm ready.
I know that you were just at Marion Square for the Emanuel 9 Unity Rally for Unity. Mm-hmm. What was that like for you to be there emotionally?
It was a really great event. It was a nice crowd. People were, out there fighting the heat. It's been pretty hot here in Charleston, as I'm sure everybody knows. And the great part about that was, despite that, people stayed for a long time. Some people were in and out, go to the farmers market and things, but a lot of people stayed throughout. And it was nice to be there around people who were all in the same boat, looking for things to improve. Unity, obviously being the main message there. And then there was things that the speakers talked about, whether it be gun reform or fixing things in education disparities and other disparities that are out there between gender, race, class. And so it was nice to have a group of like-minded people together working towards something, or wanting to work towards something positive. So for me, I was happy to be there. It was enlightening. It was motivating. And it was, there was a little bit of sadness as well. Obviously, remembering the Emanuel 9, a few people, family representatives were there and spoke, including Polly Shepard, who survived the shooting, and she detailed what happened that day. So it was a harrowing story, and so it had moments of sadness, but the overall message was, let's come together, let's not forget, not just the Emanuel 9, but other people who may have died in similar circumstances, racially motivated crimes. So it was a good event, and I'm glad I went.
You talk about going to places. Let me take you right around the corner to the Charleston Music Hall.
Okay.
This is the Postal Courier headline from just January 22nd. Mm-hmm. Charleston forum speakers focus on data to analyze racial disparities. When you look at that data, what are we doing with racial disparities right now?
That's referencing the Avery Research Center study that came out for Charleston County for, I think, a 15-year period, something like that. And yeah, the forum that happened, I was also at and really enjoyed both years. I was there a year ago as well. Right. I think, and one of the speakers, and I forget who it was now, said this, that the data that came out of that wasn't surprising necessarily. Like, you weren't surprised to hear that people of color in our schools and after school in certain neighborhoods and things are at disadvantages or don't do as well when it comes to pay in Charleston County. It wasn't surprising necessarily to find out that was the case, but some of the numbers were a little shocking, like how big disparities are when it comes to education or funding or pay or what's available for housing and things like that. So we've had these studies, and we've had Charleston Forum now 2 years. We had this Unity rally today. A lot of events and groups have come out of the tragedy at Mother Emanuel and also the Walter Scott shooting. And I think these are good first steps as far as recognizing what disparities there are in not just Charleston, but the country as a whole, but we're focusing on Charleston and then branching out from there. I think these are good first steps where the conversations are happening. There's data to back up these things. There's not just anecdotes about what people, like opinions. You can actually point to data and say, hey, look, this is scientific research. Right. And so I think now and some people are already doing this, taking that data and trying to figure out ways to swing it and get things back to being equal and just improving things that are going on within our city.
You talk about conversations. It's been 3 years now since the tragedy of Mother Emanuel. What type of conversation are you having now about this particular tragedy?
I think now most people, you'll never get over what happened. It'll always be shocking and upsetting. But I think more people now are talking about, okay, we're now 3 years removed. What have we learned? And where are we going And now that the trial is behind us as well, so pretty much everything around that side of the tragedy is done. And now it's that time where, okay, this awful thing happened. We know all the details at this point that there are to know. What does it mean? How does it all come together? So, and I think that goes back to what I mentioned before, where we have a lot of events. We've had some charities and action plans and groups that have come out of that. And I think that's just the logical next step. And I'm glad that things aren't over. You see sometimes there's a tragedy, people come together, they're upset, and they help each other heal, and then as time passes, it's not necessarily forgotten, but nothing's really done to change that. But I think that tragedy has opened a lot of eyes, has motivated a lot of people to get involved with the community, see how someone like the Charleston shooter can come to these conclusions that he came to, and feel like he could do what he did, and it was the right thing to do. But not just that, it's spawned into other aspects of the community. It's not just someone like him. It's what else happens to people of color in this community and across the nation. So I think and I'm glad again that we have gotten to that point where it's mostly conversation about what to do next, not just looking back but also looking forward.
Another conversation that's going on right now, and this is from abcnews.com. Charleston formally apologizes for its role in slavery. Why now?
Well, I think Mayor Tecklenburg kind of said earlier today at the forum, it wasn't necessarily something that was being asked for. There wasn't like this groundswell of people saying, hey, we need to do this, but why now? Because it was incredibly long overdue. The city had never apologized for its role in slavery. And not just that, but what happened after slavery? When slavery was abolished, it wasn't just snap of the fingers, everything's cool and everybody's equal now. There was separate but equal, Jim Crow laws. Slavery, you can still trace issues and problems today back to that. So it was long overdue, and so it had to be at some point. And I know there are some disagreeing opinions on that, and I haven't heard a good argument yet as to why the city, in my opinion, of course,
right.
But I haven't heard a good argument as to why this shouldn't have happened. So I was glad to see the city council, albeit barely, pass the resolution.
7-5?
Yep. So basically one vote, because it could have been tied,
right.
With just one person had switched over. So yeah, long overdue. That's why it hasn't happened yet. It was good to see city council step up and say, hey, no, we personally as humans, we didn't have a hand in this, because obviously no one alive today owned slaves or was an enslaved person. But the institute of the city had never apologized. We represent that institution, and it's the right thing to do. Again, it's a starting point, and more needs to be done. But if you don't have the starting point, how do you go forward? How do you fix things? Dot Scott of the Charleston NAACP also spoke today, and she had an awesome, I thought she said something really good as well, which was she appreciates the apology, but it is that first step. It's a good way to get started. She said, if you accidentally knock me down and apologize, I appreciate that you say, I'm sorry that I accidentally knocked you down, but I also need a hand up after that. So if you just apologize but then don't do anything, it doesn't accomplish what needs to be. So she's saying, and I agree, and I think others do as well, it's great that the apologies happened, and there's some other goals within that resolution, some actual changes that the city wants to work for, but we got to make sure that actually happens.
Well, let me move over to some good news.
Okay, yes.
I know, obviously, but you know more than I do, a lot of good restaurants are opening here in Charleston.
Yes.
A lot of events happening.
Yep.
What am I missing? Because I'm always busy.
Hey, I don't know if you're missing anything. You're out there, you're sending me pictures of businesses that closed before I know it, so you definitely are out there, and you know what's going on. But no, Charleston is still growing, and there's restaurants and bars and venues. Not, we always talk about restaurants and bars, but there are other businesses that are opening as well. And it doesn't show any signs of stopping. There's a lot of really good things out there. And I think there's something for everybody. Whether you're looking for that fine dining, high-end price tag, or you're looking for just a casual, quick something to eat. I think there are a lot of great places that have opened. I haven't gotten there yet, but Parcel 32 in the old building for fish just opened. I've been hearing good things about them. I just ate at a restaurant called Spanglish, which is within Workshop, that fancy food court on way up on King Street. They were delicious. I had a Cuban sandwich there and some roasted pork, and they were really, really good. And that's what's cool about Workshop is that a lot of businesses, maybe they don't have the capital to open on a King Street because it's expensive. They can rent out a stall there and kind of work on their craft and get their name out there, and then maybe make some money and then open up afterwards. So that's a good place to kind of get a nice variety of food there. There's a lot of poke places that are opening, which just seems like to be the newest trend. It seems the city every year goes through these trends, but that seems to be the newest one, and people are excited about that. And dishes like that are great in the summer. A nice cold, like salad or ceviche type dish to cool you off. But yeah, it doesn't stop, does it?
Oh, not at all. And Verde's over there too, I believe.
At Workshop, yes. Yep, they opened their own stall in there.
Yay!
Yep, I know you're a big fan.
That's right, Kale Caesar.
That's right.
I'm getting it for lunch today.
Hey, there you go. And I think what they're going to do, even though they have those locations already, I think they're going to use that space to work with some of the other chefs in there, maybe test out dishes that will then show up in their normal restaurant. So another cool thing about Workshop, having that space where they can be a community and collaborate.
And today's Saturday, so what event should I go to now?
Oh, jeez. I don't even know what would be
so hot.
I know it's so hot, which is the problem. The Unity event was the biggest thing on my calendar today. I know the music hall has a comedian tonight that I like named Anthony Jeselnik, but I think that may be sold out, so you may have missed out on that. But yeah, it's so hot. I think today's a good day to find an indoor event, whether it's the music hall, poorhouse, music farm, somewhere indoors that has a show that you can be cool and relax. And as it gets nighttime, just go find a bar or restaurant and enjoy what's out there.
And like I said on Facebook earlier this week, I'm in a relationship with an air conditioner.
Oh, yes. Tell me about it. I know. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going right back home and just getting back and relaxing with that AC.
That's all you can do.
Exactly.
Well, Christian Senger, a.k.a. Holy City Center, thank you for your time. Really appreciate this.
I appreciate always being interviewed, Quintin. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anytime. Yeah.